All right, welcome back to another SegWeather video looking at your forecast for your Friday, July 17th of 2026. We're going to go ahead and hop into that right now. Starting off with the current radar, you can tell that we have barely nothing going on, minus a couple showers in southwestern Texas. Unfortunately, the same area that has been inundated with constant downpours over the last week, and as of this morning, since about Saturday morning, they've seen over 30 inches of rainfall in this area as they've been seeing this disturbance that's been hanging over that same area, and that's all due to this high pressure that's been keeping that rainfall sandwiched down here. And unfortunately, I've heard of one death and also some significant flooding taking place in some of these areas. Unfortunately, around the Camp Mystic area where they've saw the same rainfall amounts last year, this is a little bit more, unfortunately. So quite a sad situation. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers today. But besides that, looking at some showers and storms moving to Florida, a little tropical disturbance developing here. We'll keep a close eye on that as we head later in this update. But upper parts of Michigan seeing some showers, and then up here parts of the Pacific Northwest seeing a couple showers as well. Now looking towards that excessive rainfall outlook for today, not as bad as the last couple days. Still a slight risk for the southwestern parts of the U.S., including unfortunately western Texas. Could see some more rainfall today, and that could be leading to those flooding downpours occurring. And in the Midwest to the Mid Tennessee Valley, a small chance that the shower and storm chances do return to these areas, and then the small area here in Florida as well. Now, looking at our current watches and warnings, still a lot going on. We have the excessive heat warning over small parts of Minnesota around Minneapolis, then heat advisory outside that area, and then we do have that air quality alert in place for much of the Midwest stretching towards northeast. Unfortunately, with those ongoing wildfire smoke that's occurring, we'll see that stretch throughout these areas as we progress throughout your day today, and then small areas of heat advisory down here towards Missouri and then towards the coast as well, and then the red flag warning for around the west coast. Some fires watch warnings possible, especially with the dry air in place for these areas. They haven't been seeing a lot of rainfall this summer, so unfortunately, that's why we have these red flag warnings in place. And then down to our southwest, unfortunately, Texas still underneath that flood watch. And same thing with southwestern Utah for potential for some flooding occurring today. But looking at the upper level jet, especially with that smoke, like I mentioned earlier, again, we'll have that upper level jet pushing down to northeast, and then sandwiched around it, we have again this area where we will have the smoke ongoing as high pressure to the south will fuel those incoming wildfires as it will push air this way, and then with upper level jets pushing air this way. And unfortunately, any air that comes out of Canada over here will get pulled right into the jet stream and into the high pressure as well, which will lead to this occurring over the Midwest for today and again for tomorrow as the high pressure does slowly move down to the south, which will introduce more of that smoky air towards the Midwest, especially the southwestern parts of the Midwest. But looking at today, this evening with the wildfire smoke forecast, you can tell that's going to be quite significant over, again, Michigan stretching towards Delaware, as the air is a little displaced from yesterday, as New York won't be seeing it as much, but still, Delaware, Maryland needs to be on the high lookout as we will see that increase in wildfire smoke today, which does mean that if you have any outdoor plans today, I would highly recommend canceling them, as unfortunately, the wildfire smoke is quite hazardous, and especially with index values of 300 or more, that indicates where you should not be outside at all, maybe even wearing and definitely wearing a mask if we're going to be outside at all, which will be the case with today. So if you are going to be outside, make sure you're wearing a mask, because again, this is the kind of area you should not be breathing in. Even if you're a healthy young adult, this still affects you, as again, you get a lot of that in your lungs. It can mess you up pretty badly. So make sure you take extra precautions today. But looking at your temperatures this afternoon, quite hot for much of the country, 90s in upper plains, deep south, quite hot 90s for most of these areas. And in the Midwest, a little cooler due to those shower and storm chances ongoing. And same thing with the upper Northeast, looking at some of that occurring as well. And then even for around New York, temperatures in the 90s as well. But Texas also a little cooler, temperatures in the 70s to lower 80s. Eastern Texas a bit hotter, and then the southwestern parts of California really hot, temperatures around 110. And same thing with the southwestern part of Arizona, quite hot, but elsewhere, rain and some storms will interrupt these temperatures, keeping them in the 60s, 70s for some of these areas. Now, as we look towards this weekend with the upper level jet, this is where you have all that hot air anomalies. As the darker the color of the reds and purples indicates really hot air in the upper levels. But as we head towards this weekend, with that jet stream pulling down to the south, this will reintroduce some cool air into these areas, which will mean an increase in some shower and storm chances. As with the jet stream buckling down, any low pressure that comes along the jet stream over here will bring that chance for some increased shower and storm chances towards the Midwest, which unfortunately looks to be the case, especially as we head to this weekend and into the early part of next week. But for today, looking at a small threat for some strong storms, a small threat over here in the Rockies, upper Midwest, and then from the lower Midwest stretching down towards Florida. It's a small threat for some strong storms today. Tornado risk, not too bad. That'll be here in the upper Midwest. Same thing for damaging wind threat, small threat for all these three areas for severe weather risk for today, and hail risk only these two areas up here in the upper north for some hail being possible with storms. Now, as we head from today, this afternoon, through tomorrow morning, we do expect those shower and storm chances again to be ongoing for much of the country. In the Rockies, you can see that very clearly, some shower and storm chances bubbling up during the day. Same thing in western Texas. You saw that blob of rain. That'll be there early in the day before dissipating. And that small disturbance here in Florida, we'll talk more about this in a second, or why that's important. And then some shower and storm chances in the Midwest, and then upper UP of Michigan, and then eventually reaching the Northeast by later on tonight. Now, back to that tropical storm development. Unfortunately, the National Hurricane Center has highlighted a small chance for tropical storm development over Florida, especially as we're watching a little system that could potentially develop into a storm. But again, the chances of that occurring are low at this time. But again, it can easily increase, especially if further updates show that this storm can intensify. But as right now, you can see this is the models from today going through Sunday. It does show a potentially developing tropical depression, maybe even a storm as we get towards Sunday. But again, note this is one model. Other model does show the other model, the NAM model, does show the same exact thing. This is the HER model, but both of them are showing the same exact signal for potential tropical storm development. But even if we get the system to develop, it will most likely not be a strong tropical storm, maybe even borderline have a name for it. But overall, not looking at something that could heavily impact your weekend plans, but definitely something that could, again, would be something to keep you inside for a day or so. But thank you for joining this update. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can also subscribe to always get updated on whenever I post a video on this channel. Now, make sure you stay weather aware and safe today, and we'll see you in another video tomorrow morning.